Welcome everybody to tonight's show. Tonight we have a very special guest joining us. He's a fellow filmmaker and screenplay writer. Without further ado, please allow me to introduce you to my very good friend, Deous.
Hey bud, how you doing?
How you doing, Deous?
Good.
Alright. So Deous, how's life been treating you?
Great. We've got a bunch of new projects, as you know, going on, and some new exciting ventures, I guess, we're planning on taking on.
That's good to hear. I'm sure the audience here would love to know more about you, so can you give us a description of your background?
A brief description of my background. Well, I was born in California, spent 10 years in Alaska, 12 years in the military, and after being medically discharged, went back to school and decided I was going to start a career in filmmaking. And started my own company in 2009 called Area 51 Productions. From then, I have been diligently working to build a film production company and write more movies and screenplays. Been working on a novel called The Sacred, and been making films and commercials and music videos for people. And I love the film industry, and I love digital media.
It seems to me that you really love what you're doing.
I do.
What are your future goals in the film industry?
Future goals in the film industry. Well, right now we're looking at possibly moving the company down to Texas, at least for a short period of time. I'm looking at continuing my education in the master's program at a school down there in filmmaking and directing. And then my plan is to finish building Area 51 Productions and not only create my own films, but also encourage others to come along in the process and move people along in the process to creating films and hopefully in the independent film industry, because there's a lot of new creative individuals who are becoming very, very good at writing scripts and writing movies in the independent film industry.
Now, it seems to me that you've been in the industry for quite a long time.
Yeah, for a good amount.
What do you think the industry itself can learn from you?
Wow. Oh, bro, that's a loaded question. From me? I don't know. I guess I would have to say if I would like the industry to learn anything from me, it would be a sense of collaboration. A sense of everyone coming together. It's one thing in Hollywood to have millions of dollars and be able to put on these huge films. In the independent world, you know, we don't have a lot of money or free capital to play with, which in some ways is a good thing, because it makes us have to think outside the box and get very creative about shots and effects and how we're going to do certain things. And the industry is changing in a way that that now we can do a lot more with a lot less. Software has created the ability for special effects and a lot of really cool new CG that used to cost millions and millions of dollars to do, which still does in some parts.
Yeah.
But if you know that stuff and can learn how to collaborate with people, you can actually do quite a bit with very little in the industry. And the more people that come together and collaborate, obviously the better the project can be. That's a big thing for me, is collaboration and being able to work as a team, as a group on one project through to the end.
Now, we were talking here before the show started that you feel
spot,
that,
aren't you?
yeah, I'm going to put you on the spot. You said that you try to remain true to a writer's story.
Right.
Can you go into more detail as far as what you meant by that?
Sure. As you know, I've written a lot of scripts and a lot of movies and screenplays and a lot of different stories. And really, as a director, I consider myself a storyteller first. As a director, we have a lot of power on set. Probably more than we should have. I think that as a director, it's one thing for me telling my own story that I wrote, that I created, telling it how I want to. I think as a director, it's a whole different story or whole different ball game when someone, you know, like Stephen King or Stephanie Myers or one of these authors come and say, hey, I want you to make a movie, or we see a book that we like that we want to make a movie of.
Yeah.
I think it's very important to stay true to that story, and sometimes it's difficult in the visual world of digital media. How do you tell certain things? Because it's one thing to have it on a page, it's another to tell the story visually. And so that can create some problems. But I think overall, it's really, really important for us as directors to remember that if it's not our story, meaning that I'm not the author of that story, to take someone else's story and remember that we have an obligation as directors, I believe, to tell their story as true as we can on the big screen and not try to make it our own. There are elements, artistic license for some things, but it's very, very important to be true to a writer's or author's work.
Now, being in the industry, I can imagine you run into quite a few conflicts.
No way. Not in the digital world, are you kidding? In the film world?
Can you describe a meaningful conflict that you went through, and how was you able to handle that?
It's not only just conflicts, there's a lot of different personalities in the film world, as I'm sure you can attest. Yeah. My biggest conflict was working with someone who had a very narcissistic type of personality, and created a conflict for me on set. And I dealt with it the best I could. I'm not sure, some would probably argue whether it was the best way of dealing with it or not, but
yeah.
The conflict taught me, really, that you have to be very careful when you're hiring people, because there are a lot of egos. As you know, in the film world, there's just a lot of egos, from actors to directors to everybody. But when you're working with a group of people and hiring people, to be very careful looking into people's background to find out more about the people you're working with. Because just because someone presents themselves a certain way doesn't necessarily mean that they will always be that way, obviously. Or that they are as they present themselves. And that's very important, especially when you have different issues like safety and different character issues on set.
Okay, now me and you have worked on a few projects together.
A couple.
So if I was to come and interview for a job, would I be acceptable?
Are you kidding me? Get out of here, Mike. Are you kidding? What, you on my set? Of course. No, absolutely. In fact, I was talking to the executive producer the other day about you, in fact, and I'm looking forward to our future works together, and hoping one day I can steal him over to the dark side. So, yeah.
Our producers better watch out. That could happen sooner than later.
Have you heard it here first? He said it.
Okay, moving on. Okay, what are you most grateful for in your life?
Oh, most grateful for in my life, I would have to say absolutely my wife and kids, my family, and not just my wife and kids, but my friends. You know, friends and family to me are everything. I am Italian, for the most part, and family for me is always number one. And there is nothing in the world more important, or that I would not stop in the way of family.
How does your family contribute to the future of your goals?
Oh, well, my son, as you know, was in a film I did, and very talented. My kids are all very, very talented, musically inclined. They get that from their wife, my wife's side of the house, but my son, one of my sons is a very intelligent storyteller, and my wife is my lifeblood. She is my sole reason for living and everything that I do. She's very, very talented, not only as an artist, but as a mother, and very gifted musically. And oftentimes when I'm writing, and I'll be writing with music playing or whatever I'm doing where I'm working on a project, she's come and said, "Hey honey, take a look at this song, and what do you think? And it might be good for this movie." It usually is. You know, I put a lot of weight in her musically, and she's also one of my biggest supporters, but also a huge critic, creative, constructive critic for me. I will let her read my screenplays, and she'll give me feedback and try to make things as realistic in the genre as we can. So.
You know, it's always good to have someone that close to you to be there by your side, not only as a supporter, but as a critic.
Absolutely. And
I can imagine that her criticism has actually contributed to your success.
Cut like a knife, baby! Yeah, absolutely. She has absolutely contributed to my success in many, many ways. Like I said, she reads every screenplay I write, and oftentimes will make contributions and ideas or personas or personalities. She has a natural gift and knack for that, so yeah, absolutely.
Well, Deous, I hate to cut this short, but it looks like our time is about up. I know I'd love to sit here and speak with you more about this, but you know how bosses are. Well, wait a minute. No, you don't.
You mean?
Well, no, you don't. You're
I am a boss.
Well, Deous, I thank you. Me and Deous here, we worked on a project together. I'm not able to say the name of the project because it's
Where
still
angels tread.
Okay, where angels tread. And actually, believe it or not, as talented as I am,
Wow! No ego there, narcissist. Red light.
I've accepted a part as one of the lead characters as a...
That's right, you did.
I'm actually playing Death.
Don't give it all away.
Oh, okay. Well, that's going to be the end of it. Again, Deous, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
And thank you for the hat.
You're welcome.